Hello, Year 8. Welcome to your final lesson of the year. Well done for making it through. It's been a really challenging time for everyone, and I'm really proud of the quality of work you've been producing consistently during this lockdown period. So, really well done for all the effort that you've put in. You will reap the benefits next year when you go into year 9 really well prepared and having done everything you can to make sure you've made the most of this time. So I'm really proud of you, well done. Okay, so we're going to do something a bit more fun today as it's your last lesson. We're going to be making a Dickensian character poster. But before we start on that, I would like you to do the do now. So, what have been your highlights of the year for English? This could be individual lessons or units of work or anything else that's happened throughout the year in English. Secondly, what is the most valuable skill or skills you have learnt? So pause the video to answer these questions now. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is actually go through my highlights of the year. You have been such a wonderful class to teach that I wouldn't feel right leaving you without, talking through some of the highlights that you've given me over the past year. And just to clarify, when I said leaving you, I'm not leaving the school, I'm just leaving your class. So I will be teaching a year 9 class, but unfortunately at present, of course it's all subject to change, I don't think I'll be teaching any of you going forward next year. But hopefully there is always year 10, so hopefully our paths will cross again at some point. Okay, so some of my highlights. Let's go back to September when we started with The Crucible. Such fantastic voice acting. I was blown away by the passion and enthusiasm you put into the voice acting. And of course, I couldn't talk about voice acting without mentioning 3 people in particular. So, of course, Ben and Arthur have been fantastic throughout the year. Ben generally playing the protagonist, Arthur playing his counterpart. So they have been standout throughout the year. And of course, Peter as well, taking on any part I happen to throw at him. Really, really well done to him as well. He's been fantastic, especially as Duncan and Macbeth, but we'll come onto that later. So really, really good work from them. Also, I'll always remember Bella as Mary Warren when all of us were shouting as the village girls at her, and that was absolutely fantastic. So great acting from everybody. I thoroughly enjoyed reading The Crucible with you. That was such a wonderful experience, and I really hope you enjoyed it too. Fantastic work by Arthur Miller, and hopefully that also sparked your interest or continued your interest in witchcraft and religion. And if we hadn't had such wonderful and lovely debates, Theology Club would have never emerged. And even though it's come to an end now, I also really enjoyed our time together in Theology Club, which came from the fantastic debates we had about religion, Christianity, Puritan views. So that was a really special unit, I think. And so moving on from that, we went on to some poetry. I think people were equally enthralled and dismayed perhaps, or appalled by Caroline Duffy's poetry. So in future years I may save that for maybe GCSE. But I hope some of you did enjoy it, and it was very interesting, I think you'll admit. And then of course there was Junk. Again, simultaneously appalled and enthralled, I would say. So I think a lot of you really enjoyed that. Again, something I may save for slightly older students in the future. But again, really enjoyable read. I thoroughly enjoyed discussing that with you, some of the big issues it raised, and I was so impressed that you handled some of the deep issues that the book raised with such sophistication of thought and maturity, and we had some really fantastic debates. So that's a bit of a theme on my reflections I've noticed. We've had so many wonderful debates about theology, about ethical issues, and I was only able to do that because you were such an intelligent, mature, and enthusiastic class. You always gave everything your best. You were always really willing to share your ideas. And I was so proud throughout the year about that. Okay, so moving on from junk, after that we moved on to Macbeth, and even though a couple of you did struggle with this, and it was quite challenging, again, you really threw yourselves into it, tried your hardest, and improved so much during our time together. So that was really impressive, really fantastic. And once again, fantastic voice acting, especially from Ben, Arthur, and Peter. And I think Thomas and Reese also did really well with the voice acting here. And of course, we can't forget our three witches, Isadora, Kami, and who was the third one? I think it was Freya. So really fantastic from the three of them. Thoroughly enjoyed Macbeth with you, and especially the whoosh. That was in particular a great deal of fun. And then finally we had some war poetry before moving on to Dickensian characters. So that is our year in a nutshell. You have all done so well, as I keep repeating ad nauseum. I'm so proud of you. I really hope our paths cross again in the future. If not this year, then in year 10. So I just realised there is more to the lesson than just me waxing lyrical about the year. So moving on from the do now. So as I mentioned, we'll be doing a Dickensian character poster today. So it's a bit fun, but I think it'd be a really nice way to review all your knowledge. So you'll be making a poster about your favourite or least favourite Dickensian character. Your poster should include an image of the character, ideally hand-drawn, but if you're like me and you can't draw for Tuffy, don't worry, you can just print out a picture, that's fine too. I'd also like quotes said by or made about the character. So if you're going to use a quote that the character has spoken about themselves, or another character has spoken about that character, make sure you use double quotation marks. If it's a quote made by Dickens about the character, so if it's a statement he's made in his description, you use single quotations. And as many of those as you can get. I'd also like 5 adjectives, at least 5 adjectives, describing the character, and finally a brief opinion about why you chose this character. Did you choose them because you really like them and you think they're admirable and you want to emulate them or copy them? Or did you choose the character because you despise them, you think they're horrific, appalling, and you really dislike the character so much that you wanted to do them as your poster because they're a really intriguing villain? So that is what I would like you to include in your poster. I'm really looking forward to seeing what you come up with. And so can you pause the video to do that now? Okay, so that is now the end of today's lesson, the final lesson that we'll have together. So for the final time, thank you so much for your hard work. I've really enjoyed teaching you. You have been an absolute delight to teach. So hardworking, so enthusiastic, so diligent. I couldn't have wished for more. So thank you very, very much, and hopefully our paths will cross again in the future. So for the final time, goodbye.